Hello, thank you for joining me. So in this film, or film number 4 in a series, how to put together a SolidWorks drawing. I was going to say AutoCAD, but a SolidWorks drawing for a SolidWorks part. And yeah, what we're doing is we're setting up our views. With the desire here, when we set up our views, we're going to eventually put in our dimensions in here, and SolidWorks will put in the dimensions in the appropriate view that those dimensions would actually be most beneficial in. So let's go and continue to put in our views. Let's put in a section view on this thing. The desire with the section view on our top view on our model here is to be able to show maybe the wall thicknesses of the tubes that we're using. And let's make sure that we put in our tangent edges visible in these other ones too. Let's right click over here, go to tangent edge visible with the font. And the same thing over here. I think it just looks a little bit cleaner that way. And we're right clicking on it and doing that. And let's go ahead and put in a section view. So one thing about a section view, you don't want to just arbitrarily put a line in here, and of course that's not exactly what we want, that's an error. But you don't want to just arbitrarily put a line in here and not pick up some sort of reference with the model. And it doesn't really cut that model, but that's okay. And we'll go to OK, and there's our partial section view. Not really what we want, and we can take that line and edit that line. But the best thing to do from the very beginning, and we'll just go ahead and erase that. If you erase a line, you erase that view. From the very beginning, when you do your section view, try to pick up some geometry. What I want to do is put a section line right down the middle of this thing. And why not? If you put it off to the side, then you might end up picking up some geometry or showing some things that may not be appropriate. It may not be the best thing to show. But if we pick up the midpoint of that line and then drag our cursor up a little bit away from that, you certainly don't want to put those arrows right on that line because you don't want anything intersecting with your object lines. But let's pick that up and bring it up over here and then start up there. And then we'll bring our line down here like that. Probably an equal distance from the top as we would from the bottom. And let's go ahead and flip the direction. We want it to go off in that direction. And go to OK. Section scope gives us the ability to actually define in here how deep we want that section to go, but we're going to go ahead and make it a full depth on that. And what it does is it gives us another view associated with that section. Click it out here, and now it shows this view actually cut. So the way this works, if you think about that section line, it cuts down the middle of the model, and we're looking at only half that model. We're actually going to look at this half of the model, ignores that half, and it's showing us that cut view on that half. So we're standing back over here, looking in this direction, seeing that model. So now we can see the wall thicknesses here, the wall thickness in the part up here, and how it's welded together in the middle. So there's our section FF. I put it on our sheet notes layer. Let's go ahead and fix that and go to our document font and make sure that's underlined. And then go to OK. And we're all set. Almost. Almost forgot about that. So this is going to be A. Our auxiliary view down here is going to be our A view. We're going to make this B. Make sure it's capitalized. And then green check mark. Let's go ahead and take that section line and put that on our dimension layer. So it comes out as red. So that looks pretty good. We have our auxiliary view here. We have our section view over here. Let's go ahead and do a detail view. Let's actually do a detail view of these holes in this section over here on that piece that has these holes on it. So this is going to be pieces going to be welded all the way around. We're going to do a detailed view on that before we put in our dimensions. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we go back up to our view layout and look at our views we put in here so far, we've done our 3 standard views, our model view, projected view, and auxiliary view, a section view. Now we're going to do a detail view. And let's do this. You'll notice that when you click on this, when you click in here, you are in a way setting up a relationship. We're going to make that, perhaps if we wanted to do that, make that detail view in the middle of that circular cut on that part. And then we can take that detail view and actually move it off to the side. But if we want to do, if we want to make modifications to that, we can. We'll cover that here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and finish up some of the detailing on that. So our detail view G, don't want G necessarily, but let's go ahead and click on that and make that C, the next sequential letter in our series here. It changes this down here. Let's put this in the appropriate layer, which is going to be on the dimensions layer. Spin that around if you need to. One thing you can do is you can take that circle and actually make the circle a little bit bigger, which gives you more scope in regard to that object that we're trying to show. It's always a good idea to put that C kind of close in the direction of where you can find that detail, and it's kind of a navigational thing where you can actually see where that detail is going to be. And if you don't like the scale on your detail, we can go ahead and change that. So if you click on that view itself, scroll down here to the custom scale. Our sheet scale, if you remember, is 1 to 8. This one is 1 to 4, but let's go ahead and make that maybe 1 to 2 and see what that looks like. It looks huge. But that's probably too big for our sheet. And I think we can probably get everything done with a 1 to 4 scale, so we're going to go ahead and stick with that. Let's go ahead and take our view title. Let's change that. Unclick the Use Document Font, go to the Font button, go to Underline. We're going to make sure that's underlined, so it's in pretty good shape. And this shows you a different element in our view title here. Typically our view titles have either been borrowed from the element that's already been inserted in there, and that element being an annotation. But there's an extra value in here, and that is regarding the scale. What you want to do, and it's kind of iterated on the website in the student resources section of the website in regard to setting up your drawings, if there is something very specific about this view that you want to add to, like maybe sheet notes, this would be the time and place to do it. And this kind of shows you that. So in the top line you have the more general information with more specific information underneath that, and even more specific information as you go down. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and double click on this, and let's add a note to this. And make sure you have it all capitalized. We're going to call that note 1. And sometimes they put brackets around this, kind of stands out a little bit better. It also makes it denote that maybe it's a secondary feature out there, something secondary to consider. But I usually see brackets, so let's go ahead and stick with that notation. And, oh, what happened to that? Okay, brackets, note 1. Let me go off to the side. Alright. Sometimes it doesn't like this because we have a code that's in the back of this. If we were to right click on this and go to Edit Text in New Window, this might be the more appropriate place to actually put it. There's a code associated with this, so if we were to change the scale in this view, the scale to 1 to 4, which appears to be text right now, will actually change to the appropriate scale of what we change it to. And then if you go to OK, that's the better way of doing that. And so for note 1, we're going to do that here in just a little bit. We're going to add that note to a section of sheet notes, and we're going to put down here in the lower left-hand corner. I only chose the lower left-hand corner here because it's open and convenient. We could probably use this area over here to do the very same thing if we wanted to do that. So I think that's probably enough for this video. I'm going to go and conclude this, and then we'll do some additional work on our views on our next video, and then think about putting in our dimensions.